Priya Panditi. I'm the General Manager of the Agile Management Business Unit here at CA. Some of my colleagues are going to be presenting as well. Dilshad Simons, who's the Senior VP of Product for the Agile Management BU. Shannon Mason, who's the VP of Product for Agile Central. And then Greg Lotko, who's the General Manager of our mainframe business. And we're pleased that Barry Becker from IBM, VP of Hybrid Cloud Services, is joining us as well. And so with that, let me just talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the market. Before we talk about agility, I think it's really important to understand what is it that's going on in the marketplace and why do people care? So let me start with what are the changes we see in the kind of 3 to 5 year horizon. Number one is we're seeing enterprise customers moving from looking at just projects, which tend to be internal, start, milestone, finish, to thinking more about a durable asset. You think about a product or a service they're offering. So it could be like a loyalty program that a retailer is running. That is the product or the service. And then, of course, it's composed of different projects, but it's really a different way of thinking about it. And that means two things. Number one, it means that it's a durable, long-lived asset. It doesn't stop. It continues. And number two is that, and by the way, the number one, it puts their customer in the center. And number two, it's not just the development team, it's also go-to-market, maybe other functions within the organization. So it really cuts across multiple functions and organizations. The second thing we're seeing is really about the fact that there are many tools, but what enterprises are looking for is tools that feel like they're developed for different personas. So if you're a developer, you want to see something that feels like it's for you. If you're a product manager or a line of business owner, you want to see something that looks like it was built for you, but actually has a common set of data. So you're not spending a bunch of time, money, energy trying to reconcile and not doing the right thing because the data is not common. The third thing we're seeing is, and you heard this from Ayman and Otto a little while ago, but it's about taking data and running machine learning and analytics and artificial intelligence to be predictive. Today we tell you what's going on, but what really enterprises are looking for is help us predict the future based on the past so we can take action. We know what risks, what dependencies are, and so we can impact outcomes. And that's really outcome-driven development is a big deal. And that's really, when you think about agility, it's about managing all of these things towards outcomes that you care about and doing that with a customer at the center of what you're doing. So we see that today enterprises tend to have a typically annual strategic planning function where they do their funding. So think about how they select investments. They may decide to fund the work. They know what capacity they have for the people they have on staff. And they want to get the insights at a strategic level. And then there's work being done that the development teams, or not just development, could be across multiple teams that are doing. So on the top, our PPM product, our project portfolio management product is used. And for the work that's being done, our Rally or Agile Central product, that's what's typically used. And the problem is today these tend to be very isolated. And so I know this from my own experience. I've worked in large companies. You send around teams of people to try and link these to say, the things I care about and I'm funding, is that the work that's being done? What changes do I need to make? How do I need to adapt to changing conditions in the market or other changes, and to be able to do that real time? So the linkage between PPM and Agile Central was a significant ask from our customers. If you were to see a world, you saw that, and we've actually delivered strong capabilities, and we're continuing to do even more in terms of this linkage. So with that, let me turn it over to Dilshad Simons.
Thank you, Surya. Well, wonderful. This wouldn't be a showcase if we didn't show some products or evolution of products. So that's where I come in. So we talk, as Surya mentioned, there's the strategic element, there's the delivery. Imagine a large enterprise, right? Tens of thousands of employees, and maybe hundreds or thousands of developers who are digitally transforming the company. How do you do the delivery of that or other projects that may not be software development projects while still planning and funding the right work? So for that, I'm actually going to take us out of the PowerPoint for a second and start with a quick overview, just a 2-minute overview of our product called CA PPM. PPM stands for Project and Portfolio Management. It's a product that's been around for decades, but a lot has changed and a lot is changing. Firstly, yes, these are projects. Each of these are projects within a company, and you can see it in this really intuitive Kanban view that actually gives you some of the key parameters right here that the company can set up based on what kind of projects they're running. But we don't want to talk about projects. I actually want to chat with you about strategic planning, which is one of the key areas. And you're looking at the live product. We just delivered this recently, and it's getting some great reviews. Let's talk about strategic planning. A lot of companies today do it in a couple of different ways. One, in the beginning, right before fiscal year starts, they may have ideas for projects, and we find out that 90% of them never get funded. So that's not a great way. We also find out some companies, a lot of companies actually put all their execs into a room and they say, what do you think is important? And they put together essentially a timeline which stays on a whiteboard with some post-its until somebody converts it into an Excel spreadsheet or a PowerPoint, and by the time it's circulated within weeks, it's already old. So if we have collaborative applications, we can do this much more easily there. So let's take a look at this example. This is a roadmap. What makes it a roadmap? There are quarters laid over a period of time. This is a very specific initiative, advert initiative roadmap, where somebody basically took the most important components of and laid them on a timeline just to have the conversation started. But the roadmap wouldn't be complete until you say, okay, so what are the key strategic pieces? These are the things we call swim lanes on the left-hand side. Securing the enterprise, creating the mobility pieces, thinking about analytics and AI, and very easily you can bring this into a boardroom, which some of our customers actually want to do as soon as they see it because it's so powerful. You can easily add your new item in here. This could be end-to-end security testing. I can build some dependencies around it, and voila, I have this already created, and I can actually fiddle around with it, move it to another strategy, and so on and so forth. Another interesting thing, like I said, when we show this to our customers, we've had customers who basically created a large media and entertainment company, who created 3 years worth of their movie plans based on different strategic lanes, animation, drama, etc., just laying it over. It's a great way to communicate compared to the PowerPoints or the Excel spreadsheets that get out of date all the time. Another way to look at this, of course, all of this, is through this board view, not only based on strategy, but for example, you could say about the launch states. What's in progress, what's completing, what's pending approval, can I move one from the other very, very easily? Yeah, that should be no problem. Very easily actually coalesce around a joint plan. Another key aspect here, back in the timeline view, is can I compare scenarios? Can I actually have an A and a B? Can I have an initial plan and plan of record? Yes, of course you can, and you can see, I should have gotten rid of this, but there it stays. You can see the differences, and you can easily click on this to see what was the initial plan, what is the plan of record, what's the delta. Very, very simple, and it's available to everybody. We're looking at live product as I mentioned. Last but not the least, as you drill down, you want more detail. You want to be able to see not just that high-level visual, but also the cost and the capital cost and benefit, etc., and the return on investment. Now we're really getting into the details of it. And if you look at it by strategy, you'll also see that I have some targets. I actually want to get to a specific benefit, and this is a goal, and it turns green as I approach it. And I have some limited resources, and I can change my plans and say, you know what, I actually want to include certain things and exclude certain other things, and that would, and I'm not selecting all the good stuff, but you can see how the benefit actually evolves as I add more elements to it. Okay? So each of these, when they are funded and approved, will turn into a project, and these projects can be actually put into Agile Central, which is what we had known as Rally, the company we acquired about 3 years ago. And we can break down the work inside of Agile Central, Rally. let's take a look at how that's evolving in the future, because that goes into the depths of dev teams and how they work. But it's not just dev teams; it's also all the groups and all the functions that help create a product at the program. So for that, I'm actually going to switch back because I want to take you through some of the evolution that we're starting to work on right now. And let me go back to my slides, and I'll skip ahead a little bit. But what we're working on here is large development teams, large programs that are actually continuously planned and just focusing on the right one. So for this, let me take you through a few concepts. One, this is the evolution of Agile Central. And here, a few things to note. Up at the top are my key dashboard elements. I'd like to know how the program is doing with respect to capacity, with respect to objectives, because in development work, one of the things we're trying to do is not just think about how many points have I delivered, did I actually deliver that mobile app on time, but what business objectives was I after? So we call this outcomes-driven development. And of course, we want to look at our velocity, but last but not the least, how about the budget? Remember, the last example we looked at, PPM, is where money is managed. Companies manage billions of dollars with PPM. So how about tying that into here? So our dev teams also have an idea how they're doing with respect to the budget. Let's move forward with this. You also see a timeline view here. It's not the same, it's not the strategy level. It has some of the same elements, but now we're in the details of work. What feature am I building? What user story am I constructing? How are they dependent on each other? Which teams, on the left-hand side here, you can see the team names, which teams are working with? And if you notice, if I have a new item or a set of new items that come into my backlog, I can actually easily take a look at those items, grab one of those, and go ahead and schedule it. And watch what happens to the top line as I actually go ahead and schedule this. I'm putting on one of the team's plates, and as I do that, capacity changes and my delivery towards my outcomes change. This is critically important to be able to do the right things at the program level while giving the flexibility to all the teams. Teams, we're not going to cover a ton of them here, but they're a very important part of our ecosystem. Later this afternoon, when Otto covers some of the accelerator programs, you're going to hear us talk about Waffle.io. Waffle.io are for developers very specifically who work in GitHub and being able to track their work without actually doing anything incremental inside of Agile Central. You'll see some of that. But developers are also very important to us, and Greg is going to talk a lot more about that, so let me pass it on to you, Greg.
Thanks.
You take it away. Thank you.
So I'm not only a CA employee, I'm a customer of Agile. This is absolutely how we do our development on mainframe. And you may be thinking, gee, the imperative of Agile in mainframe, it is absolutely critical to the future work on the platform. If you think about everything that's going on, the idea that 70% of the world's data is still on and processed through mainframes. 78% of customers are continuing to grow MIPS. And in actual reality, in the last 10 years, ships MIPS increased 3.5 times. But beyond that, it's also about skills. It's also about making them effective. The idea that absolutely those folks that develop the foundational technologies and have been in mainframe all their lives now at this point, they're retiring. So we're bringing new skills into the fold. They need to be successful. They not only have to learn some of the stuff about what their predecessors did, but they also have to find ways to work on the platform without having to understand all the technicals, all the technologies, but get the value of the resiliency, the stability, and all those types of things in the platform. Do I have this backwards or frontwards?
You have it right. Second from
That one's right, okay. So out of Agile on the mainframe, one of the things we did in their college career or in former employees, and they started developing the capabilities. The capability to have an abstraction layer, to tie this together, to use the framework of open source capabilities, but press down on the things that were offered in the mainframe. Again, this was not a project born out of product management, out of executive management. We actually were doing a review, going through, seeing the teams, what they were working on, and they were demoing, and we were like, wait, what's that thing? that you're using. They're like, oh no, this is just a tool we developed for our own efficiency. We like interacting this way. And we said, oh my God, this is really cool. This is really flexible for you. We'd like to show that to some customers. And our customers had absolutely the same reaction. They said, not only does it allow us to have more capability, the folks that have been on the platform before can use this, but people coming new into the platform can start working with it without having to understand all the unique intricacies. And this is going to be available first on the Z Cloud, so I'd like Barry to kind of talk about where he sees the value.
Yeah, great, thanks. So look, within IBM, we know the mainframe is still highly relevant, but the market has really challenged us in the models of how that consumption is done. Obviously, with the launch of the Z14 that we announced earlier this year, clients continue to challenge us to understand how they can, in fact, embrace this DevOps, this Agile, this elastic new paradigm that we're seeing in the market. If you look at the digital transformation that's going on with the developers, with the end lines of business, they want to enjoy the same level of that pay-as-you-go consumption-based model in the mainframe that exists within the distributed cloud ecosystems as well. You know, I oftentimes tell folks who aren't familiar with mainframe very much that if you go back several decades, the concept of virtualization, the beginnings of cloud concepts really were born within the mainframe.
The mainframe was the cloud before the cloud was the cloud.
Absolutely, it was, absolutely. So what Greg talked about, we at IBM are very excited to see that. We're seeing this jointly in our clients. If you look at the collaborations that CA and IBM have been doing over the last couple of years, we keep meeting at clients. We kept meeting at clients, and we recognize that, you know, this is no longer this point of departure, but it's really a critical destination that new workloads are coming to, whether it's elements such as blockchain or tying distributed front ends to mainframe back ends. And so with that, we launched and created what we called our IBM Cloud Managed Services on Z Systems, really long name. We affectionately refer to it as Z Cloud, and that's part of the collaboration that we've been doing jointly with CA.
And if you think about it, it's all about the customers. So you're kind of saying, well, why CA, why IBM? We've got some great capabilities. They've got great capabilities and a great foundational platform and offering. And our customers came to us and said, hey, we need you guys working on this together. And we're absolutely embracing it and driving it for the mutual benefit of our mutual customers.
In fact, if you look at what I've got on the slide here, that constant feedback, what clients are telling us, has driven us to this mainframe as a service model, right? So it in fact has consumption-based pricing. It has that elasticity that as you need it to scale and grow with demand, it does, and when you draw back those, it's able to reduce as well. This on-demand consumption-based pricing model. Clients are expecting that, and that exists within the platform as well. And then finally, technology currency. We've got to be able to support clients who are developing new applications, refactoring old applications onto the platform and tying them in this hybrid cloud ecosystem that we've made the Z Cloud part of within the overall IBM Cloud value proposition within the market. And we've driven that to drive that level of cost flexibility, to reduce complexity, right? To make it where you can truly enable the development organizations, you can truly enable the lines of business to consume and leverage the mainframe when in some instances they don't even realize their data is running through the mainframe platform.
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you think by the fourth time I'll probably get to say it well.
No, but think about it. It's all about the idea of mobile to mainframe, right? I mean, you're using your device. You have no idea what's behind it, but it's hitting an edge server. It's going through a distributed process. It's kicking into the mainframe and a transaction is kicking off. And then it's coming all the way back out to you. Some of the people along that line doing that development do not know that it's a mainframe at the back of it, but you want them to be able to press down on the inherent capabilities of the platform.
Yeah, and just a final point on that. That growth that we've seen on this platform is significant. We're upwards of close to 250,000 MIPS in production. In 18 countries is what our cloud ecosystem is deployed for this, and that's constantly growing and scaling quarter by quarter.
Absolutely. So think about it, you know, Iman was up there, Otto was up there, and they're talking about common capabilities or common processes or approaches to development. it really is the same whether you look across distributed or mainframe. And we have customers using their own technologies, developing their products, in their software factory, trying to figure out about what they want to do with their strategy and then how do they put development projects behind it. So in the mainframe space, we're also offering new tools. This is another new exciting tool that we have coming out this month, the MRI. So it's Mainframe Resource Intelligence. You might have heard of magnetic resonance imaging. It's not quite a skull and crossbone scan, but it is the same type of idea of that when you go to a doctor, you kind of have a scan to figure out what's going on. You do an assessment about, okay, what does that mean? What am I going to do about it? And then you generate a report that lets you prioritize and think about what you want to do next. So when we focus on this with the mainframe, we think about economics, we think about security, we think about DevOps, we think about performance management. And this month, the first stage of this is going live with economics. So again, tie back to the idea of folks who may not know about everything that's going on in their mainframe. The person who's an engineer that just says, hey, I had to learn how to upgrade IDMS. I followed the process, I upgraded IDMS, it worked, I think I'm done. But did you realize there's an opportunity for greater zip offload to get greater efficiency out of your platform? This tool will inspect versions, it'll inspect combinations of tools of how you might be able to consolidate. How do you get the most out of the resources that you have in your environment?
Yeah, and when you look at a tool like this, and you look at the full CA mainframe software suite, we're consuming some of these on behalf of our clients as part of our managed service, our operational capability that we're bringing within the market. But we're also giving clients the ability to use this suite of tools and applications along with the platform. And that creates this really dynamic model that allows them to take full advantage, whether it's application performance, monitoring and management, whether it's data content and discovery for compliance that we're seeing a lot of our clients push us on, especially when it comes to the likes of GDPR and other compliance initiatives. But this is yet another component where we continue to collaborate so that that full suite of capabilities, what we consider the front of house, maybe in the hands of developers, as well as the operational components that are needed to keep the platform fully optimized.
Cool. So think about what we talked to you about across both platforms, across both ecosystems. I'm not only an employee, I'm a customer. I use the capabilities as well. Across the board, we're empowering the next generation of workers to be successful across platforms, developing projects, whether they be technological or business initiatives. We're supporting new ways to collaborate across teams as well as across disciplines within an organization, focused on driving better outcomes for that business. And we're enhancing the offerings in all of these to provide artificial intelligence, to gain insight to things you may not be aware of, what it is I should do next or where I should go, about your organization, about your environment, about your processes to help you drive and be more successful. So with that, we're all available. We can kind of take questions or talk about any other place you want to go.
I think we're wildly thorough.
Yeah.
We wore you out, I guess.
Well, thank you so much.
And we're here this afternoon. I know some of us have one-on-ones. Feel free. Catch us over lunch or dinner.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Thank you.